Hi. So we're going to be taking human resource planning now. Human resource planning, we've talked about what human resources, people in an organization, and everything they do is towards the achievement of organizational goals. This is always like the reason for PM as a course. So organizations have realized that employees hold the key to their success and survival, which is a must, in the global market. So they have to maintain the right number, the quality, right caliber, in order to achieve their strategic goals. Now, HR planning is the method used by organizations to analyze and evaluate. Analyze and evaluate human resource available to a particular organization. Their competencies in terms of knowledge, skills, and abilities. Human resource planning is to analyze and evaluate human resources in a company and organization. These knowledge, skills, and abilities are what is being, explanation further is what is being talked about here. What are they analyzing, what are they evaluating? The knowledge, the skills, the ability. In terms of competencies, to ensure, to review that the right people are placed in the right jobs or positions and at the right number, so that where you need 15 people, you're not going to employ 25 and be wasting organizational resources. HR planning asks these questions. It asks the question of what talent, abilities, and skills are available within the organization that we can use to achieve organizational goals. Who are the people we can dependently build on for the growth of this organization tomorrow? How are we blending this available talents with the organizational needs? What are the qualitative and quantitative HR demands of a particular business plan? So this is what human resource planning answers questions to. Because if these questions are not answered, there's no way there's going to be any projection, any forecasting that HR planning does. So let's look at another major definition of HR planning. It is a proactive process. It is done in advance. It's not just, as we are reaching here, we are planning it. No, we are planning for 2 years' time. We are planning for 5 years' time. We are planning for 20 years' time. If Alabella starts producing 1 piece of clothes per day now, in another 2 years, it should not remain like that. So it should go further, maybe 10 pieces per day, maybe 100 pieces per day. There should be all of those goals that should be planned towards. So HRP is a proactive process that anticipates and influences an organization's future. We're not talking about it now. We're not talking about 2025. We're talking about 2030. We're talking about 2035. We're talking about 2040. Do you get? An organization we are anticipating what the organization's future will do by forecasting the supply of and demand for employees, which then, in a way, by developing plans and activities to satisfy the needs of the organization. It's a proactive process, right? It anticipates and influences organization's future by doing what? By forecasting the supply of and demand for employees. Want to know how many employees is here? Want to know is needed here? Want to now know how many employees will be needed in 20 years' time and how to attract them and how to manage them? We are planning ahead. Also developing plans. How do we now forecast all of this? By developing plans and activities to satisfy the needs of the organization. If there are no plans in place, there won't be any forecasting, there won't be any future to plan for. Do you understand? So HRP helps an organization achieve its strategic goals, organizational goals. I've already said that's all. You should always refer to that. An objective by recruiting new employees, avoiding shortages and surpluses of employees, as well as controlling or reducing labor costs. So these are the three things that it mainly helps organization to achieve. Achieve what? First, what is HRP achieving for the organization? The first thing is recruiting new employees. That's the very first thing. Then the second thing, avoiding shortage. Like we said here, the right number. It should not be too many. They should not be too little, so that there will be efficient use of human resources. So avoiding shortages or surplus. Of employees or human resource of employees. While lastly, controlling and reducing labor costs. You want to control labor costs. You don't want to employ people that you're not able to cater for, you're not able to train, you're not able to develop. So the third one is controlling or reducing labor costs. In an event where we are supposed to do employ 20 people, can 15 people actually do this job instead of 20 people? You want to pay 1 million naira across 20 people per month. But if this strategic objectives can be split this way, that means we need 15 people, if 20 people. That is the role of HRP. That is why HRP is necessary. These are all the things that HRP, does. So the focus and the goal of HRP, like we mentioned, but now where it is really focused on. Number one, reducing labor costs. Number two, meeting customer requirements. And three, expanding customer base. If you expand customer base, of course your company is growing. If you are selling to one people today and keep selling to one person rather today, and you keep selling to one person 2, 5, 4, 5, 10 years, your company, will it survive? We all know the answer to that. So expanding customer base. These are the main focus of HR planning. Now we move to outsourcing and offshoring. An important element in HR planning is consideration of outsourcing to reduce costs. As a small business owner, I personally make a direct clothes, like I've always said. I've referred to this many times. So for me, I make the adire. I don't know how to sew, but I come with clothes ready-made. I make ready to wears. So I can't do school and do adire and sew and market and do sales. No. The only chain of events that I take on as my role in Faye Alabella is directing the prints that come out, designs and all of that. But I don't do every other thing. Why? Because I realize that outsourcing, especially at this level of my business, is even cheaper to manage than doing everything by myself. I want to learn all the skills that is involved in my market. How will I do? Do I want to die? No, now. So Outsourcing is defined as the process of contracting specific business processes to external sources. From my definition of my description of Feyala Bella's business now, I've already told you what outsourcing means. It's defined as the process of contracting specific business processes to external sources so that you reduce costs. Remember that a major focus of human resource planning is to reduce labor costs. If you don't reduce labor costs, what is supposed to do the money or resources is supposed to go into other things like training, development, enhancement of tech or other things. You will just keep on pouring it into labor costs, and it will not even be beneficial to anybody at the end of the day. Because if you keep spending so much money with basic things, you will move on. No time. You see how hard the economy is. People will move to where they themselves will be developed with advanced technology, with advanced way of thinking, with advanced planning. They will not stay with you and say because you pay them a certain amount, they will die there. No, we all know that. So, regarding our focus on HRP, we now say that outsourcing, offshoring, they are necessary in terms of HRP. Offshoring is the relocation of a business process from one country to another, and the HR must be very involved in assessing and outsourcing this outsourcing and offshoring option. On one hand, outsourcing, they are basically almost the same. It's just the capacity at which they operate. Outsourcing now, they are taking the process, right? You are sourcing, you are outsourcing, you are delegating a part of the process of your business to outside, contractual people you are contracting to do it for you. You are not, it's not an arm of your own organization. While offshoring is still the same thing, but then you are even relocating the process from one country to another country entirely. For example, my clothes, I make them in Lagos here. Ojole Bayaba, Ikeja. I have where I go meet my tailors. But if I now say, oh, I'm a big girl now, the money in Alabella is too much. I don't want Nigerian tailors any longer. Then I just go fiam to another country to outsource it. That is now offshoring. Both of them is still not happening in my own company. Do you understand? Like, everything is not in my organization. One is within my location, my demography, people around me, and that's outsourcing. But you're taking it to another country. That one, offshoring, you have gone over the sea, you get. So that's the main difference between them. And both of them are key in terms of like how HR should definitely handle this process, because it's this option, because it's a key function of HR work. So the world is the labor market for many jobs. It's not just where you are. It doesn't just focus on your state or your country or your immediate location. No. And skilled labor are being offshored to even lower paid overseas workers. If I find out that making things in China is cheaper and the process is faster, if I have the means, why not? That's where offshoring comes in. As I know that I'm not able to sew and I need to make ready to wear, I'm already outsourcing to current people in Lagos. So all these skilled labor, they are, can outsource them, can offshore them. They are necessary parts of organizational business. So one of the main goals of HR planning is to reduce labor costs, and there are ways that they go about this. One very important part is outsourcing, offshoring and outsourcing. Now, offshoring is usually within an organization, but happens when a company moves parts of its operations to another country, but still keeps control of it. They moved maybe IT department to India. Oh, you people handle IT for us, but we are still controlling how that works, even if the parent company is in Nigeria or the parent company is in the US. The offshoring of a particular department or unit within an organization to another country, even though they still keep control, they still keep tabs, they still manage it, that part that they've relocated to another country, it doesn't mean that it doesn't bear their name or they are working on their own. They are still very much a branch or a part of the parent company. Do you understand? Work is done by employees of the same company, just in a different location, to reduce costs. Remember reduce costs, a major focus of HR planning. Reduce costs, take advantages of lower wages or access specific skills in another country. While outsourcing now, okay, so let's do this. Same employee, different location, retains, retains control of that branch. That's what offshoring does. Now, outsourcing is when a company hires an external organization to do certain tasks instead of them doing it in-house. Let's go back to Feyalabella. We make adire clothes, we make ready to wear, but we don't have in-house tailors, we don't have in-house marketers. These are people that we outsource. These are people that we hire external organization to do this part of, the process of this work. It can be done locally or internationally. You can outsource within Lagos, you can outsource outside the country. But the difference between outsourcing and offshoring now is the company that you are outsourcing to, you don't have to directly manage them. Of course, you tell them this is what you want to achieve, this is what you want to do. But you don't directly manage those workers who perform the task. It is the outsourced company that will manage them independently. So now, this is same employee, different employee, different organization. Different employees, because you have no jurisdiction over who is taking up the task. All you have to do is, this company, I have this job for you. Can you do it? If they say yes, example, tax returns. Come and help us with our tax. FIRS is coming to Kiniko. Yeah, they will say, okay, fine. What's your tax paper? Okay, how long have you been doing this? Kiniko. When last did you go for audit? You are outsourcing to an entirely different organization. It's not done in-house. And you don't have control. They work independently. The outsourced organization perform task independently. However they do it, it's none of your business. They should get the objectives of what you want as a parent company. They should get it done the way you want it. So that's the major difference in offshoring and outsourcing. Skilled labor is being offshored to lower paid overseas workers. Now, let's say it's a tech company, an IT-oriented company. They started in Lagos, buying diesel every day. The national grid fail every 5 days or weeks. They want to now outsource to a country that is competent, and they know that skills are readily available, such as India. Indians are known for their tech strength. Okay, so you want to offshore. You will take some employees from your parent company in Lagos here can go and start the IT branch there in India. But also you can use, they are still bearing the same name or the same organization now, but now you are outsourcing to Indians. They are the ones going to work under the same company at a different location, because parent company is in Lagos here, then the location is India. Then retains control. Whatever happens there on behalf of whatever IT company you are using, you are doing here. Whatever happens there, you are still controlling it from Lagos. Do you understand? But outsourcing, we are giving an entirely different organization to do something for you, because you don't want to have any business in the process of that particular job task. You don't want to have, they should do it. You want to, please, insurance for my company. Okay, if people do insurance here, take, this is what I want for my company. Okay, XYZ is what I want. Produce XYZ for me at the end of this thing. And they will do it. It's none of your business. They don't take your company's name. They don't take your company's employees. They don't take your company's resources. They do it there. You pay them for them to do it. the same thing as my Alabella process. I don't own a sewing machine, but I make ready to wear clothes. My company does not own any single sewing machine, or does not even have any machine at all for cutting. We don't need it because I am generally outsourcing that part, that aspect, that process of my organizational goals, of my job tasks, within the organization. So now that we've understood the difference between offshoring and outsourcing, we also should note that India is a major or an attractive offshoring destination. And the reason for it being an offshoring attractive destination, because one, financial attractiveness, business environment, and then the people and skills availability. There are a lot of tech people. Like you see our YouTube self, a lot of tech people are teaching things on IT. You cannot compete because it's too readily available. So instead of stressing and looking for a senior developer that has experience in Python, that has experience in C++, in C++, in Java, in this, just go to India. One person, you will see the list of job experience, work experience that they've had, and their educational background. So you see that, oh, this person is readily available, is made for this job. That way, it's easy to offshore. So the reason for offshoring is because of the financial attractiveness. The amount you will spend, let's even compare somewhere like US and India. The amount you spend as a parent company in the US might not necessarily be the amount, in short, will not be the same amount you spend in India. That's why some companies just take an entire department, customer service, IT department, and take it down to India. People handle it, because if we are paying $1,000 here, the cost of everything here can be reduced to as little as $600. Do you understand? So it depends. This is where planning really comes in, because you are planning it, you are checking there are so many checks and balances. So you are preparing that even if you started in the US as a parent company owning an IT department there, but you realize that the cost of labor, the cost of resources is too much. The planning involves things like this. Oh, should we consider offshoring? Should we consider outsourcing? This is where HRP comes in particularly. So according to a report by ATK Media, like India, China, Malaysia, they were global services. This is as 2005. India still remains a very attractive place even till now, and you can check other countries as well. So technology has made workers from all over the world accessible, which I've talked about. Tech, IT, they are major expanded labor markets for a lot of companies, not even just limited to US companies. Okay. HR planning should be an integral part of competitive strategy. If there is no planning, how do you want to have competitive advantage with your competition? You know that there is no one company doing just one thing. If it's not in the same location, it will be in the same continent. If it's not in the same continent, it shall be somewhere in the world. You understand? So you can't afford to start a business and remain there without planning for future. I hope it is, So HR planning is integral, is a major part of having a competitive advantage, right? It is the forecasting of HR needs, the needs of human resource in the context of strategic business planning. That is, business strategy can be a product of superiority, innovation. HR is very key in innovation, and then in operational excellence, that's efficiency, the quality of your output, as well as customer intimacy, that's customer satisfaction, how you can meet the requirements of your customers. Your customer sees you, oh, they buy this thing from me today, another day they tell you, oh, this, you improve, you get better. This will help the HR plan properly for the needs in the context of all these three things: innovation, efficiency, and customer satisfaction. Effective planning, anytime I say planning now, just know that I'm talking about HRP. Planning, HRP, right? Effective planning closes the gap between current situation to a desired state of affairs in the context of organization strategy. Now, look at this. Current situation of the company. desired situation. The person that closes this gap, that makes this gap very close, so that when you say you want to be your first year, it's not where you still be your fifth year. It is HRP, basically. That is all we're talking about. So many companies now link HR planning to strategic planning, but the focus of HRP is mainly the reduction of what? Labor costs, with limited considerations for other elements related to HRP. HRP, this gap must close. And that's the essence of HRP. Now, two of the most important aspects of HRP and recruitment, the one we just talked about was strategic planning, right? And recruitment is that in the aspect of staffing, HRP plans and recruits. If they need to know the right caliber, the right knowledge, skills, and abilities that we explain in the definition of definition of HRP, we have to plan and recruit the appropriate staff. So HRP's important aspect of staffing, of recruitment, is planning and recruitment. And recruitment planning should flow directly from HR planning. Should not go and bring recruitment from just general. HRP should be an integral part of making recruitment planning come to pass. And organizations that integrate strategy, that use and infuse strategy with HR planning and recruitment, have HR competitive advantage. Now, what this simply means is the strategies we discussed in having innovation, efficiency, customer satisfaction, and this one that we're talking about in terms of recruitment and planning, organizations that use both effectively, strategy and HR planning, they always have HR competitive advantage. Imagine working with the best hands that are available in a location. Of course, your company is going to be the best. You cannot be dragging feet. Your staff, they are not, They are not motivated to work, or they don't even know their job. Your company will lag behind. There's no way. Your company will go back. Now, the elements of HR planning, right? There are 4 main elements. So we're going to be looking at the steps in effective HRP. I mean, everything that involves planning should have steps, basically. And the first thing we're going to be looking at is the environmental scanning. Have in mind that this identifies and anticipates sources of threats and opportunities. The way you are looking out for threats is the way you are looking out for opportunities. And this scanning is into 2. The external environment and then the internal environment. External environment deals with laws, regulations, and then your competitors. While the internal, like in-house environments, includes strategy, the tech you want to use, and your organizational culture. These 2 is what makes up external scanning. What does external scanning mean? You have to identify and anticipate both threats and opportunities, the good and the bad. You anticipate both of them. Remember that HRP is a forecast, it's a proactive process. You're not doing it for the now, you're doing it in readiness for whatever comes in the future. Then second is labor demand forecast. This is a process of estimating the future quantity and quality. Never forget, anything employees have to do with quality and quantity. You have to understand this. If you need 20 people, get 20 people. If you need BSc people, get BSc people. If you need MSc people, get MSc. If you're looking for PhD people, get them. Do not go and say you want to manage, or HR planning removes all those management, all those I want to manage this person seems good. No, the quality of people you are looking for, find them. The quantity of people you are looking for, find them. That's what the second step is, labor demand forecast. And it is based on, when you estimate the quality and quantity of people, it is now based on your annual budget and your long-term corporate plan. If you have 20 million in your annual budget and ordinary labor demand forecast is already taking 50 million, where do you want to start from? How do you want to do it? Is it possible? No. So you look at, oh, you want to get quality and the right quantity, right? The right number of people and the right caliber of people. But we also have to keep at the back of our mind the annual budget and the long-term corporate plan. If we invest in somebody now, in 5 years' time, will it improve our company? Think of all those things. That's what HRP is thinking of. And then translated into activity levels for departments or units. All this quantity and quality, thinking of long-term goals, thinking of the annual budget that an organization has, is translated into the activity level so that you know how each department should function and what you aim to achieve from each department or each unit of the organization. It projects how business needs will affect HR needs. If your company, overall company, is to make so and so money per year, how does your company's needs to do that affect the HR needs? That's demand and supply of labor, demand basically. So the factors that affect labor demand forecast would include environmental forces, organization decision and strategies, workforce variable. It varies from organization to organization. And the method used for demand forecast include qualitative methods, which are Delphi and nominal, and quantitative methods, which are trend analysis, simple and multiple linear regression analysis. The third step here now is labor supply forecast. This projects the resources available from internal and external sources. Oh, who do we have in-house? Who do we have outside? Like, what's the supply like for us? So you are forecasting the availability of resources from both internal and external sources. The next thing here is gap analysis. It now reconciles the forecast of both demand and supply. Do you understand? It carries these two, how they work hand in hand. That's what gap analysis does. It reconciles them. It brings them together to make it make sense. Do you understand? Okay. Then action programming implements the recommended solution from this gap analysis. This gap analysis is reconciling these two. Now, the solution you now bring out of here is what your action program will be based on. You cannot have action based on just environmental scanning. No. These steps have to be followed in order for actions, like the program of actions, to come out. Then control and evaluation. Monitor the effect of HRP by defining and measuring critical criteria like turnover cost, break-even cost of new hires, recruitment cost, performance outcome. All this is just to look at what this step 1 to 5 has achieved, and then evaluate and control all these costs so that there are no excesses. Now, the elements of HRP. So, the elements of HRP, these are the main 4 things that HRP must include. Without these 4, there is no HRP has not happened though. And this is the first one, talent inventory. This requires assessing your current talents, looking at future requirements. Okay, what are the people we have currently? What are the people we are hoping to have if we meet this particular target? Okay, for the first year, Alabama sold 10 trousers in total. The second year, we are going to sell 50. So if we are working with 10 people now, we have to work with at least 15 to 20 people. We are assessing what you have now to now assess what you will need in the future. That's what talent of course, we know what inventory means. That's what talent inventory means. Then this is the second one. This is where your demand and labor, your demand and supply forecast come in. And this is where you predict and you project the requirements of human resource in a company, the number of skills, whether internal or external, as labor supply that you will need. You do basically labor forecast. This part to this part is talent inventory. You are trying to see what you have now to get into what you need. Now, this workforce forecast is now predicting and projecting. Remember that HRP is a core psychology application, applied psychology. So we are now predicting, oh, if we do this now, what will we need next? That's where this comes in our supply and the steps that we mentioned just before. In our supply and labor, supply and demand rather, supply and demand forecast. Then number 3 here is your action plan. You are bridging the gap between where we want to be and where we are right now, where we currently are now and where we want to be. Now this is where all the action takes place. Writing, predicting, forecasting, proactiveness, taking number, taking like counting, all of that's here. Now the action, the cocoa of all our plenty talk, this is where it happens. You are trying to see if you need to transfer, if you need to promote, if you need to increase benefits for a company, this is where we are, this is what has been working in the past, what can we introduce that will now work for us presently and in the future. So this is where all the action takes place. Do we have surplus of employees right now? Do we have to lay some people off? Do you have to retire some people compulsorily? Do you have to employ more people? This is the action going on. You're not more talking, you are doing here. Lastly, control and evaluation. In this part, you are getting feedback. This is where provision of feedback and monitoring progress of all your talk and your action. This is where you can now decide if the HRP you did is effective or is nonsense. If you have to start all over again, if you have to start from this scratch or take the steps all over again, you have to know. This is what we tell you. Has there been progress made? What is the degree of progress in the attainment of HR goals and objectives towards meeting organizational goals? Never forget these are our organizational goals. So this part shows your feedback, shows the monitoring of progress, shows the degree of progress in all of the other steps or elements. This part will tell you if you have moved forward or you need to take few steps back and do this again. We're going to now go into the major requirements of environmental scan. Do you remember the first step in effective resource plan that we spoke about was environmental scanning, which has external and internal environments that you have to scan. The major requirements, I'll just brush through this, is number 1, the frame of reference for environmental scanning should always be on strategic goals with a focus on customer. Employee is not the customer now, because last company customers are the ones paying both employee and employer. They are the one putting food on the table. So the focus should be with customer in mind. Although your strategic goals are like scan, the environmental scanning should always be on strategic goals, but with the mind of with the focus on customer always. Then an environmental scan should keep the big pictures. What are the environmental scan? We have the laws, regulations, and the competitors. Should always keep the big picture in mind, meeting or exceeding client requirements, client or customer requirements, and expanding customer base. Remember that expansion of customer base is a major focus of HRP. Then any environmental scan must be done in the context of legal environments. Don't just do it and do it anyhow. Do it in the legal way, the right way, the legitimate way. Government regulations also influence HR planning and must be considered in the environmental scan. Don't say that government will not come when they will come, and the day they come, it's look as if they are wicked. So always put that in mind. Then understanding the relevant labor markets. Sometimes labor markets are loose. They have qualified recruits in abundance. Oh, BSc graduates, they're everywhere. Graduates and like water. But other times they can be tight, which can mean that there can be limited availability of labor. So sometimes, yes, you have a lot of supply of, HR, or people are plenty, you can choose from. Your selection process will be so, your organization will be choosing. But sometimes they'll be desperate. So all of these environmental scans should look out for all of this and decide, when is labor market loose, when is labor market tight. So she kept an example of on legal environment. You can just go through that, but from the definition, I feel like you should have understood what it basically is saying. Then the benefits of HR planning. So lastly, we're going to be browsing through the benefits of HRP, why it is important, and what it will benefit from doing HRP. So the organizations will have the right number and the right quality of employees in the right position at the right time. Right number, right caliber or quality, right position at the right time. All of these towards achieving organizational goals. So that's the very first benefit. This is just number one. That's the very first benefit of HR. Number two, it aligns the business or the strategic goals of the organization with the employees. If the employees and the business organizational goals are not in sync or they are not in alignment, nothing will happen. We already mentioned that in definition in the first video. So nothing exactly will happen. The employee and the strategic goals of the organization have to align. So that is what HR planning helps to achieve. The match between HRP and business strategy. Then number three, we have understand. It helps to understand the dynamics of employee skills, interest, and performance, the potential gaps in their capabilities and their readiness to take future job requirements. Now, this point is saying that it helps us understand the employee skills, where they stand right now. How good are they? What are their interests that is helping boost whatever role it is they are playing in the company? What are the potential gaps between where they are now and where they want to be in accordance to the organizational goals, in respects to the organizational goals, in achieving the organizational goals. I remember that human resource does a lot more than ASTAC for PM. So what you understand the dynamics that include skills, interests, performances, potential gaps in their capabilities and their readiness to take future job requirements. So it's not just about the now. If you employ somebody that tells you in the next 2 years she's going to Japa, before that 2 years is complete, you yourself as HR, like conducting an HRP in the organization, you have to start looking for somebody to replace her ahead. You can't say because her interest is not staying in Nigeria, so you're not going to let her go, she will go. So she has told you where she stands. She has told you her interest. She has told you her next line of action in the next 2 years. You, as an HRP person, plan ahead. Do things ahead so that there won't be issues in the nearest future. Fourthly, another benefit of HRP is strategies. It develops strategies such as recruitment, retention, and training to solve human capability problems. You want to be able to recruit the right people. You want to be able to retain, that's retention. You want them to remain in the company. You need to be able to retain the right people. And then train to solve human problems. If somebody has a gap in skills, HRP will help, okay, let's plan this development, let's do this activity so that this person learns this thing and then it benefits the organization as a whole. Lastly, to reduce, this number 5, reduce costs, increase customer satisfaction. I hope you are saying it alongside me, like at the same time I'm saying it like this, because I've said this one so many times. And last but not the least, expand customer base. Reduce costs. We are reducing labor costs. Let me just reduce labor costs. So I not just cost, because our own is labor. HRP is labor. So reducing labor costs, increasing customer satisfaction, and expanding customer base, growing. So that is the end of human resource planning. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.